So my 2 and 1 here are very close, and I'm just going to mix it up just so you and I aren't exact same brain. I'm going to put Derrick Henry 2. He is just a complete animal. He's a beast. But maybe you don't have Derrick Henry at 1 because you are out of your mind. I forgot what you said. You're going to have to edit this out. That's right. How do you not have Derrick Henry in the top 5?
I'm not editing this out because the look on Aiden's face when he realized he forgot about Derrick Henry.
That's exactly what happened.
So Derrick Henry at 2 for me.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds versus Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things. I got 2 phones. Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach. That is
the team you promised me you were going to be this year.
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.
Welcome to episode 55 of Birds vs. Boys. We are just 1 week away from the NFL draft and 1 week away from the branded sports draft show. We have a packed show for you today, including our interview with Kevin KT Turner down in Dallas to talk everything draft. Make sure you check out all of our breakdowns from last week on our YouTube channel. But I'm not going to step all over Aiden's toes here. I know he's our technical guy, so I'm gonna pass it on down to him. But welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us, and Aiden, thank you for joining me. How are you?
Yeah, hey, thanks. Thanks for bringing me on after you stole my thunder. I'll make technical notes really quickly since we did them already. Like Kevin said, we have.
I like you dive deeper in. You give I give the cliff notes. You give the full book.
I give okay, fair enough. Whatever just butter me up. All right. So we got Kevin Turner on the show tonight. Reoccurring guest, friend of the program. He is on multiple levels. So he has his radio show. He's a member of The Athletic. He has his own Dallas Cowboys podcast. New episode dropping tomorrow. I'm sure he'll mention that. Mm-hmm. Biggest thing, he's on the draft show, which is the best draft coverage by someone not named Daniel Jeremiah, I would say. Yeah. Best, and if you're a Cowboys fan, Cowboys fan, obviously you should listen because they're talking about your team. I am an Eagles fan and still listen because of their individual player breakdowns. Speaking of player breakdowns, if you didn't see ours, we worked very hard on them. They are on YouTube, each player that we talked about, all 8. So you can watch 8 different videos as well as the full show. So like and subscribe to that. And then 1 week from when you are listening to the show, we will be live for the actual draft show presented by Kenwood Beer. We'll be live streaming it. I can't wait to see what happens. I'm getting a little bit nervous.
I can't wait to be next to you. Just no matter what the Eagles do, just to be next to you, because now there's rumors that Miami wants to go back and Philly wants to come up. It's like what? So no matter what happens on draft night, me being next to you is just going to be joyous.
Appreciate the company. Misery loves company.
Unless somehow they trade up to 4 with Atlanta and only have to give up a third, and then they get Pitts or Chase. That's the only way it's not going to be joyous for me with you sitting next to me.
I love how I've become the guy who's just remember when Kevin Hart did the laugh at my pain skit? Mm-hmm. I think that's me, but with sports now. I think people just enjoy watching me die inside. It's not even fun to watch. If they just draft Patrick Surtain at 12, no one's gonna be oh, that was fun. They want to see them trade back to 22 mm-hmm. and watch Devontae Smith go 12, so I die.
And it all started actually during last year's draft when the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb.
That was my big coming out party with Brandon. It was a great time. So it should be a great time next Thursday. Pretty remarkable. They're 1 week away. They announced that the schedule is May 12th. So even in the offseason, a lot to get into. And a lot to get into tonight. But before we do, it's the middle of the week. Sometimes you can drag a little bit. Yeah, it got freezing cold. so it's a little bit tough. We got to get our competitive juices flowing to get into the show tonight.
Ooh, I
There's
like
only
that.
one way to do that. A little bit of 2 out of 3, best of rock, paper, scissors, shoot. You ready?
Oh, I'm competitive. I don't know. Are you?
I'm very competitive. This gets the juices flowing. Ready?
Let's go.
Rock, paper, scissors,
Paper, scissors, shoot.
Well, you could see what.
Scissors.
Did you put scissors?
Yes.
All right,
Here,
we're
hold on.
tied.
Vince, come in. You're going to regulate.
We have a
Say
referee.
what we have. Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
And we tied again.
Rock,
What the
paper,
fuck is wrong
scissors,
with you
shoot.
guys?
I don't know. Aiden's very slow.
Your thing was delayed. It's hilarious. We keep choosing the same thing.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
There we go. I got one. All
You're
right.
like 4 minutes behind me there.
Nope,
couldn't
2
tell.
counts. That was enough times. They counted.
on my on my screen, it was perfect timing. I think it's hilarious that we just did this. We always say we have the same brain. Just played rock, paper, scissors, shoot for 30 seconds of the show and did not once choose a different thing. So
we do.
if you're not catching on, obviously it's from the Nick Sirianni press conference today. It went viral, to say the least.
I mean, the guy is electric. No matter what you say, like he has electricity. I mean, I saw a tweet today that perfectly said what he is and made me laugh. Was that Nick Sirianni does not drink decaf?
I saw that
There's
too.
nothing about him as decaf.
No, I don't think he takes caffeinated. I don't know if it's just caffeine either. He is so wired. It's unbelievable. I love it, though. It's great to have energy. I don't see any problem with this rock, paper, scissors thing. I think it would stick out to prospects during the draft process when you're doing the same interviews and you're like, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
Yeah.
Like, we were just watching a video before with Kyle Pitts, and it was like, oh, are you a lead by example guy? Like, what's he supposed to say to that? I think this Nick Sirianni thing would stick out.
When you go home, do you A, play video games, B, party, C, read your playbook, or D, go to sleep?
Like what? Like
Toothbrush.
Yeah.
You ever see that scene in The Office?
Yes.
Or D, toothbrush.
It is. I like what he's bringing. It's something. And I feel like it's very different from what you've had in Philly over the last few coaches.
That's true. And I think he's great for a young team because he has this youthful exuberance about him. He's a young guy. He's got a ton of energy. I think that relates well to young players who, let's be honest, this is how that team is going to be comprised for the next few years while they get the salary cap situation figured out and go through this rebuild. I think he's like the perfect guy for a young team. And listen, I saw a video of Jalen Waddle and Devontae Smith playing rock, paper, scissors, shoot to see who would run a deep route on a play. So I'm just saying, I don't know. They have some experience. I want to check into that.
Alabama wide receivers. Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong. So I saw a stat. This is remarkable. When do you think the last time the Eagles drafted a player from Alabama?
I think I saw it was like 30 some years or something. Or
You
no,
are correct.
Right? 34 years?
Yeah. Well, no, not quite. 1993. So
Right.
I was born in 94, so I should probably know this.
So 28 years.
28 years since they drafted a player from Alabama. Pretty remarkable stuff. So it's a really good thing that they have practice at rock, paper, scissors.
That
was my tweet today. I was like, I am fine with doing this. I just really hope those LSU wide receivers are good at rock, paper, scissors. Terrace Marshall in the second round. Please tell me you chose paper over rock.
And if you want to know more about those Alabama wide receivers, go to our YouTube channel and check out our breakdowns of Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith.
We're going to keep shamelessly plugging those draft profiles without a doubt.
Someone here?
I guess
Someone
so.
want to join the show?
I didn't even know I had a doorbell.
We're discovering a doorbell for the first time right now. Live.
I didn't know I had a doorbell till this week. 3 people have rung my doorbell in the last 48 hours.
I think you have to answer it at this point.
Should I ask the person, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle?
Yeah. Right. Yes, please.
It was a package, so I didn't get to ask.
Damn.
Great.
Breaking news. Breaking news here on the show. Aiden has a doorbell.
I have a doorbell. Anyway, back to Nick Sirianni. Ton of energy. I enjoyed the press conference. He got shit on. I think just the state of the Eagles and just how they've been chaotic for months. I think anything you do, he could have sat up there in silence and meditated. Someone would have had a problem with it. He could have gave 3-word answers. He could have said excited the amount of times that Tim Tebow said it when his introductory press conference. Like, no matter what happens, people are going to criticize you. I'm okay with having a coach with a ton of energy. He was fantastic. And I loved him talking about receivers and how size isn't the thing that matters most. Wink, wink. Devontae Smith, only 166. Even Jalen Waddle, who's only like 5'10", wink, wink. And just how that's not his main factor. And it's a matter of getting these guys to be able to catch well. And he was showing off, like he's like on Zoom and he's like accidentally shook the table. He's like, oh, sorry, I shook the whole thing, but you got to forgive me. We're talking about receivers here. Like, I love that. You can't fake just genuine caring like that.
Nope, you can't. You absolutely cannot. And especially to like a Philly fan base. Like,
no, they'll see right through you.
Easily. More so than I think even like the Dallas fan base. Because the Dallas fan base is just like, we the boys. Like, for the most part. And that's why I hate. We're like, Philly fans are idiots. Philly fans are assholes. Philly fans are douchebags. But Philly fans are usually more educated for the most part on the sport. Where Dallas fans, for the most part, either A, live in the past, or B, just love the glitz and glamour of the team. I'm just
you're right. There's a lot of issues with Eagles fans, but we can see right through somebody who fakes it.
Yes.
Gabe Kapler's probably a bad example since the Giants just took 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, but I think people could see right through it. People can really see through when you're faking it, when you're not a good person, and will chew you up and spit you out and eat you alive.
Fake push-ups.
Yeah. So I'm all in on Sirianni. I hope he does well. Hopefully the rat who was sitting to his left during this press conference doesn't prevail and live through his 4th head coaching search and make it to a 5th and throw Sirianni under the bus. That was the other big takeaway from the press conference today. Howie mentioned that he strayed away from his draft board when he drafted Jalen Reagor last year.
Yep.
Great question by Tim McManus. Howie didn't even deny it. So at least he's taking accountability now and not leaking stories to the press to throw Carson and Doug under the bus. So up and up. Positive vibes.
Congratulations, Howie. You are becoming an adult.
You did it, man. You did it. It's been a decade plus working for this team, but finally you're looking in the mirror and realizing, hey, I should probably shape up
before I get shipped out.
Yeah, that's probably what it is, to be honest. Yeah. It's like, you have no more chances. If it were up to me, you would be done with chances.
Jeffrey Lurie has to have had a conversation with him, right?
Absolutely.
But you're like at the end here.
You are on the thinnest of thin ice.
Yeah. And if he hasn't,
not even ice, it is a slushy at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. Literally. And it's not a good slushy like you get, at 7-Eleven. It's, muddy slush after a snowstorm and then it rained and it's muddy and it's just shit.
And they already salted all the roads. So it kind of melted it a little bit, but it's still come down pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
Well, let's get into a topic as we transition from Eagles to Cowboys, one that affects both of us. Carolina at 8 is interested in trading their pick.
Mm-hmm.
We might be 2 teams that need to move up to get the guy that we want. How are you feeling about Carolina maybe moving out of that 8 spot?
I mean, you and I have kind of been pretty adamant that they should stay there and they should pick, especially if Kyle Pitts is there. I don't think he's going to be there, and I think that's kind of why they're saying they want to move out. I don't know, man. For a young team, they need a corner. 2 corners are going to be sitting there for them. They need offensive line. Probably one of those guys, Slater or Peeny Swell, will be there. And again, we broke down all of these guys on our YouTube channel, Birds vs. Boys. So, I mean, who would you come up for at 8?
Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
Who would I come up for, or who would they come up for?
Yeah. Well, let's just talk you because we know what they would do.
So you're correct. I think it depends. I think Carolina is going to see how the draft board lays out in front of them, see what happens, and then trade 8. I don't think this will be predetermined and done before the draft. I think they want to see what happens at 4. They want to see what the Lions do at 7. If Kyle Pitts falls to them at 8, they're obviously not going to move. You're just going to take this Hall of Fame talent and get out. Who the Eagles would move up for? Probably a cornerback, because they know that both the Giants and Cowboys are looking at Surtain and J.C. Horn, or the 2 wide receivers that we already talked about. So really, you're just getting the 8 to leap over the Cowboys and Giants, who have the same needs as you do. So there's a few different targets. I know it's kind of like a cop-out answer, but there's a lot of possibilities at 8 that wouldn't be there at 12.
And if that did happen, that would, crush the Cowboys, because obviously everybody has them honed in on Surtain and Horn, and there's a good chance both those guys could be gone by the time the Cowboys are picking at 10, especially if a team like the Eagles trade up to 8 and take Surtain. We've said it before, Denver could easily take a corner at 9, and then both those guys are gone. They may just be left with Slater sitting there. And there's been talks.
What I was going to say, worst case scenario, Pitts 4, Sewell 5, Jamar Chase 6. We take Surtain 8, Horn, and then, yeah, you're right, Slater, but it kind of depends what Detroit does as well. Yeah, but you're right. It could be like Slater if he's there, and that's the only option. And all of a sudden you went from abundance of options at 10 to really just 1.
I think, let's say if one of the quarterbacks is still there and somebody wants to move up, like the Bears maybe, or even New England, and that scenario happens to Dallas is moving out and they're moving back.
I know there have been a lot of talks for 10 to 15. I'm a big believer when a lot of people who know more than I do mock that 100 times and talk about it, and it's in every article. They know more important people than I do. So it's one of those smoke, there's fire situations where maybe, just maybe, the Patriots are coming up to 10.
If the Patriots come up to 10, Cowboys get some draft capital, and they still have a chance of getting Micah Parsons at 15, I'm good with it.
I'll die. I'll die. I'll cry every day.
Because I have seen even other mocks now that have Dallas taking Surtain at 10 and then coming back into the first round to then get Micah Parsons. That would just be a defensive overhaul if they got both those guys.
That would be the steal of the draft if they pulled that off. Another thing to keep in mind, and then we'll get onto our Cowboys points for today, but Justin Fields, if he's falling and that trade doesn't happen, would he make it to 15, or would the Eagles take him at 12? It's something to consider. I know that was another thing from the press conference. They were asked if Jalen Hurts is the starter, and they didn't say yes, but they didn't say no.
Yep.
It's just kind of wishy-washy a little bit. It was overblown, but at the same time, no, they really didn't say yes. So if the Patriots don't pull off that move to 10, he might not be there at 15. Thus, they have to make the move with the Cowboys. Also, epilepsy not stopping me from drafting Justin Fields. Like, no. I don't know. Don't do strobe lights during your player intros, and we'll be fine. Like,
he's been living with this basically his whole life. He's been fine. It runs in his family. They're saying that most family members that have had it have outgrown it. I didn't know you could outgrow epilepsy, but apparently you can. So yeah, this is not something that is, more of like a Caleb Farley back surgery multiple times and back surgery after not playing football for a season, taking off the board. No.
Yeah. Have you ever seen someone have a seizure? It's very scary.
It's very, very scary. Yeah. No.
But again, just like, don't have a crazy halftime show or intro. Player intros with strobe lights and fireworks and lasers, and I think he'll be a good quarterback in the NFL.
He'll be okay.
I'm not really that worried.
He'll be okay. All right, let me get into the Cowboys here.
We are so in sync. It's scary. We are so in sync. It's
always. Unreal. This is what we do. So before we bring in KT to talk more draft, so Cowboys have kept a streak alive, Aidan. They have done something almost every year here. Actually, I think every year. A defensive player has been suspended in the offseason.
Nice. Who was it?
Rashard Robinson. He's a cornerback, not a big name. No one really cares. Special teams guy. I don't care, but it keeps the streak alive. Since 2014, the Cowboys have the most players to have been suspended in the NFL. And I wrote a blog about it today at The Branded Sports. So check that out at thebrandedsports.com about this streak. And since 2014, just on the defensive side, let's run through this. 2014, Orlando Scandrick. 2014, Jakar Hamilton. 2014, Josh Brent. 2015, Greg Hardy. 2015, Rolando McClain. 2016, Greg Hardy. 2016, DeMarcus Ware. 2016, Rolando McClain. 2016, Randy Gregory. 2017, David Irving. 2017, DeMontre Moore. 2018, David Irving. 2019, Randy Gregory. 2019, David Irving. 2019, Robert Quinn, sorry. 2020, Randy Gregory. 2021, Rashard Robinson. That's just
I love
defense.
I love the reoccurring guest on the list. Heard a few names that didn't figure it out the first time.
It's just, and that doesn't even have Zeke in there for his suspensions or other offensive guys. That's just defense. So congratulations to Jerry and the boys on keeping the streak alive. They don't have a playoff win streak. They don't have any other streaks. And I guess, if you can't be relevant on the field, find other ways to be relevant in the news. That's Jerry
Always
Jones
be in the headlines. Yep. That's the Cowboys way.
Any press is good press. Besides that, it's more or less everything in the draft talks. Now the Dallas Cowboys have tweeted Wednesday night that they met virtually with Kyle Pitts now. There keeps being these Kyle Pitts connections, and then Stephen Jones goes on 105.3 The Fan. They ask him about it in a very, very funny way. If you haven't listened to this, it was on the K&C Masterpiece. He was like, he used different guys' names through. He's like, I don't mean to horn you, but if you guys are certain about what player you're taking, and it was rather cheesy, but pretty funny. And they asked him about Kyle Pitts, and he's like, yeah, I think that's just Jared just talking about a good player. That's about it. It's like, I think it was a little bit more than that. But,
you always got to rein him back in. He always wants to go big.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to rein him back in. But if they ended up at 4, it would not shock me.
No.
I'd be sad, but it would not shock me.
My heart of hearts say you just can't go up to 4. It's too much for a tight end. It's just way too much. I put out on Twitter today the fuck it draft, which I think you enjoyed and Jeff Cavanaugh would enjoy, where at 10 they just draft Jalen Waddle.
I think it would be funny.
Just do it. They could trade Amari Cooper, and then you have CeeDee Lamb as wide receiver 1, Michael Gallup wide receiver 2, Jalen Waddle wide receiver 3. You have Jarwin as your tight end. You put Zeke at fullback, and you have Pollard at running back.
I think you'd score 40 a week.
You'd have to, because you'd be giving up 38.
That's true. Every game would be 42-35. I don't hate it. I think, they could be in that situation again where it's like, okay, who's the best player available? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's Waddle. Fine, we'll do it.
Just take him. We'll figure it out.
It's a little bit more absurd than last year with CeeDee Lamb, and that kind of made sense. But who cares? I think it would be funny.
Before we go, I want to bring in KT because I just want a scenario here. Rank Jamar Chase,
1,
Jalen Waddle, hold on, Devonta Smith, and CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, wow, that's good. Jamar, 1. He was the best wide receiver last year, and he's a year younger than these guys.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Jamar, 1, CD, 2. Oh, that'll be the only time you ever hear me say he's the second best in anything. 3, Waddle. I really think Waddle would fit in the Eagles really well. He's exactly what Sirianni's talking about and looking for.
He is.
And then Devontae Smith, 4. But I'm not out on Devontae Smith like some people are because of his weight.
What if you threw Justin Jefferson in there too?
Well, he's not getting thrown in here. Good question. I can't put him higher than Jamar Chase because Jamar Chase was literally on the same team as him and was better than him.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the end, I still think CeeDee Lamb's a better wide receiver than he'll be. So I'll go Jamar 1, CeeDee still 2, Justin Jefferson 3, Waddle 4, Smith 5.
I think that's exactly how I would put it. And Jalen Reagor?
And our famous TikTok words, he's 6th.
I think that's a perfect segue to our interview. No?
I think that's great because some of these questions are going to be popping up with KT. All right, so let's get into it. Kevin Turner, KT Fun Tweets on Twitter. Our interview, we're going to cover a lot of draft stuff here like you and I did last week, Kevin. Here it is, interview with Kevin Turner, presented by Stateside Vodka.
All right, Aidan, really excited for our next guest, brought to you by Stateside Vodka. He's been on the program before, one of our favorite guys, Kevin KT Turner, KT Fun Tweets on Twitter. He's on 97.1 The Eagle down in Dallas, does his own podcast with The Athletic, and he is on the Draft Show, which we talk about, I think, on every episode of this podcast, that it's a must listen. So, KT, how you doing, bud?
Man, I'm doing excellent. I'm really ready for the draft to be here and be over with because I think that'll open up some free time. But this is truly a very fun part of the year, especially if your team sucked last year and you're picking 10th and I guess now 12th, right? So it's a little more exciting than if you're good and picking 28th and you have to wait all night on Thursday to get to your pick.
Or if your team sucked and you were picking 6th, but then you traded back.
It used to be a little bit more fun a few weeks ago.
Oh, all a part of their plan.
Yes.
Quote unquote. Yeah. Plan. Yeah. So you brought it up. You've been doing a lot of draft coverage. I watched the draft show yesterday, which was fantastic. I enjoyed it a lot, even as an Eagles fan. I thought one of the best parts was when one of the Twitter users asked the question about if the Cowboys should get a fullback. And Jeff Kavanaugh was like, yeah, I'd like Jalen Waddle to be the fullback. So that kind of inspired my question. Just like for you, who's not the most realistic prospect, but who's the most fun prospect that the Cowboys could take at 10?
You know, he's one of them. I will say this. To me, one of the most fun players is the linebacker, the Notre Dame linebacker. I had a stroke there for a minute. What happened? The Notre Dame linebacker. This is what happens. I came here and I just got off the air at my radio show. And it's like, oh, I'm here. Let's do it again. And then the Notre Dame linebacker, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, to me was one of my favorite players to watch. And then I think I referenced it on the draft show yesterday about just the force that he hits with and like how a professor did a study on that. And like when you watch him play, those guys who can do everything, the cover, he could have rushed off the edge more if they would have let him. He just didn't do that very much at Notre Dame. You can see all those things that he does where he's kind of all over the place. He can take away matchups. You know, the one thing that he did struggle with is, you know, RPOs, which all linebackers struggle with. You know, run pass options are very tough on them. That's kind of the only way you would ever see him get neutralized is occasionally he'd get frozen in his tracks. So there, you know, for me, I also want to say like Javonte Williams, the running back from North Carolina, and I know we don't talk about running backs much. I am one of the people who agrees that you should devalue running backs. But Javonte Williams from North Carolina was nuts. That guy is trying to kill people while also like having enough speed to finish some pretty hefty runs and things like that. So I really liked him. And I liked Kenneth Gainwell, the running back from Memphis, because I mean, there's a play where they just line him up at X and they're throwing a back shoulder fade to him. Like, it is just like, whoa, that's a running back doing that. Like the way he catches the ball and wheel routes and things like that. I mean, someone in the second round is going to be really happy if they get some Kenneth Gainwell in their lives. You know, it just depends what positions you like watching too. I mean, the wide receiver, Jalen Waddle. Oh my God, Jalen Waddle's incredible. And I have him as my third wide receiver. I actually like Smith and Chase better, but I don't, you know, if I'm a Cowboys fan, I don't think I want Waddle going to the Eagles at 12. That would not make me happy. Or I'm an Eagles fan. I don't want the Giants getting him at 11. So it's kind of a lot to think about there with Waddle.
Absolutely.
All right. So Cowboys at 10. Obviously, there's been so much talk that the Cowboys actually just tweeted out tonight about their interview with Kyle Pitts, and they've been, rumored to him and the love that Jerry has for him. We have said on the show a lot that for them to get him, they're going to have to probably move up, and I just think they'd have to give too much. So at 10, let's talk more realistic guys here. I know Surtain's out there, Horn, Penei Sewell, which I don't think is going to fall, Slater. So who are the guys in order that you think are most realistic for the Cowboys to take at 10?
So I'm going to, for the sake of this conversation, I'm going to rule out, as you said, Kyle Pitts. Let's rule out Penei Sewell.
Mm-hmm.
Depending what the Bengals do at 5 with Sewell and Chase, or whatever wide receiver they want, it may not be Chase, but they, pass catcher. Pitts, I think we can rule out at 10. I think Rashawn Slater. I think Patrick Surtain. I think J.C. Horn. I think if we want to keep Micah Parsons in there, I think we could. And I think if we want to take let's say defensive end of choice, whoever the Cowboys defensive end want to be. So that's Ojulari. That could be Jalen Phillips of Miami. That could be Kwity Paye of Michigan. I would not take any of those guys at 10.
No, me either.
So I do think it's probably if this is my guess of what the board looks like, I think their board would be Slater, Surtain, Horn. And I think if you're up to 10 and those all three guys are there, I still think they would take Surtain, even though Slater might be higher on their board. And if I was drafting the team, I would take Slater over Surtain because I like the depth at cornerback in round 2 and 3 and that stuff. And Slater is a monster. And, I like Surtain fine, and Surtain will help you immediately and be really good. But I think Slater, to me, is kind of got some special to him. So that's what I would do. The thing that I keep going back to is Dan Quinn's relationship with Will Muschamp at South Carolina. So how much does Dan Quinn like J.C. Horn? How much sway does he have in the Cowboys draft room? And is it enough to, overtake whoever's actually making the decisions, which we know over time that we don't know who's making the decisions. It's all of them.
No, we don't. That we've talked about that here too. Even J.C. Horn reminds me a little bit more of those old Legion of Boom cornerbacks too than Surtain does. Even though he's smaller than Surtain at 6'1" rather than 6'2". All right. So what about trade back options? Do you think that's a realistic option for the Cowboys at 10? Obviously, we've heard about the Bears wanting to come up, New England wanting to come up. If there's a quarterback sitting there, what do you think about their trade back options?
See, this is where it's really fun because the draft has so much. Just so much uncertainty right now. And the San Francisco trade and the Eagles and Dolphins muddying up the waters did create this. And then you have Atlanta, who really kind of has a new regime there. So you don't really know what they're doing. I think that pick will be for sale at 4. So if anyone wants, I really don't think Mac Jones is going 3. I don't think that's happened. I think it's insane if it does happen. So at 4, is there teams coming up to get a quarterback? Does Atlanta take Kyle Pitts? Do they take Sewell? What do they do? 5, you go to 6. Miami's staying and getting a pass catcher. That's why they traded with Philadelphia in the first place. Bengals are going pass catcher or tackle. Detroit, we don't really know what they're doing. You get to 8, Carolina. Carolina, since they traded for Sam Darnold, to me that changes the game a little bit. But I don't think – let's say Carolina really liked Justin Fields and he was there. I don't think he will be. But if he was there, would they take a quarterback? So, they have to have a 5th quarterback get to 10. Otherwise, no one's coming up to 10. I don't think that's happening. So let's go New England 15. Let's say Chicago at 20. That's a big jump to go to 10 and get quarterback 5 in the draft. Mm-hmm. New England's probably not going to move. Maybe you could suck the Chargers into getting in front of the Giants and Eagles. Maybe the Vikings at 14 want to move to guarantee they get, but they're probably going edge rusher. It's just, to me, the trade back thing is a very fun thing to think about and talk about it, and I'd be glad if it happened, but I don't see it happening because, what are you going up there for? Going up there for Surtain, okay, I guess maybe. Just
if he's there,
I don't know. If I'm teams, I'm just a big fan of I'm only trading up for game-changing type things or, positions that truly value. Like, no one's going to trade up there to go get Parsons. But maybe cornerback 1. I like Parsons, but like the fact that that he's a linebacker, just but for cornerback 1, I could see that. I could see someone who, like Arizona at 16, they need a cornerback. Maybe they go, hey, got to get a corner. I'm going to 10 and I'm making it happen. But I don't know. Just doesn't seem like the trade down thing is really happening this year.
That makes me happy. I want them to sit there and I want them to pick best player available. Well, besides a wide receiver.
No, absolutely. Pick the dude. Pick the dude you like at 10. And then at 44, that's where we can start thinking about things. Like, we can package 44 and 79 and get into the 20s. Mm-hmm. We could go 44 and 99, and we could get into the 30s. Like, we can start doing those things. I'll be okay with that. But I tend to be a fan of, especially in a year where you have 10 picks, I typically be a fan of, hey, I'm going to sit where I'm at. I know what I'm doing here. Let's get our guy. Unless you need a quarterback. If you need a quarterback, you got to go get him. So.
Mm-hmm.
Very true.
Luckily, they don't need a quarterback, unlike the Eagles, who do need a quarterback still.
I was about to say, we're right back
Sorry,
in.
Aidan.
Who knows?
Quarterback factory.
Jalen Hurts is going to be great, Aidan. Don't worry about it.
Oh, trust me. By next week, I'll have talked myself into Jalen Hurts and whoever they draft, and then I'll talk myself into Kellen Mond on Friday when they take him. So it'll be a whole thing. I can't wait.
He was calling Jalen Reagor Julio Reagor to start the season last year, so that's where we were at.
Oh no!
I can be easily swayed on a lot of people. Maybe at the end, I'll have you like sell me on one prospect in 30 seconds and see if like how quickly I'm in.
Well, at 12, they really can't screw it up too bad, I don't think.
Knock on wood. Well, I got one more serious question before we go totally off the rails. I know you guys brought it up yesterday. Defensive tackle in this draft, pretty light, but it's still a really important position. So do you think teams will, quote unquote, overpay to go up and get some guys where they probably get drafted ahead of where they should be just because of the position?
Yeah, I think this is the classic where does a run start? And it's weird to say, like, where does a run start on a certain position when there's not a ton of, great players at that position. But for years, I remember talking about when does the run start on cornerbacks? I mean, it's what we're talking about the second round for the Cowboys at pick 44. Yep. When does that second group of corners and Greg Newsome and Elijah Molden and Aaron Robinson and Kelvin Joseph and Eric Stokes and Tyson Campbell, name of when does that run start? How can the Cowboys, if they needed a quarterback there, where does Barmore go? And I've been kind of like, I did a kind of a fun little exercise in my head. I'm actually debuting this here, I guess, guys. I haven't really
nice
breaking news.
So the way I've got this playing out, I'll just go through it with you guys right here. I think it's Lawrence Wilson, Fields, and I did this with no trades. So it's Pitts to Atlanta, Sewell to Cincinnati, Miami takes Chase, Detroit takes Devontae Smith, and I don't know why, I just had a feeling that might be happening. Carolina to Rashawn Slater because you get a tackle for Sam Darnold. Denver goes with Trey Lance. Notice Mac Jones isn't gone yet, guys. 10, the Cowboys take Patrick Surtain. The Giants take Micah Parsons at 11. The Eagles take Jalen Waddle at 12.
All right.
Okay. So I got through those picks. And then Darisaw 13 to the Chargers. We have Ojulari to Minnesota at 14. J.C. Horn 15 to New England. Greg Newsome goes to Arizona at 16. Again, they need a cornerback. Mm-hmm. Las Vegas 17, Kwity Paye. Elijah Vera Tucker, Miami at 18. Koromoa 19 to Washington. I hate that.
No,
hate him.
Hate that. Hate that.
Chicago finally pulls the Band-Aid on Mac Jones at 20.
Oh.
Through 20, I've got Barmore still here. So 21, Jalen Phillips to the Colts. Tennessee 22. I think that's where Christian Barmore is.
Okay.
And I just, I'm trying to find a way, and maybe they take a defensive end in Tennessee there, and there's a lot there's a lot of outcomes that can happen, but like we're talking about a legit deep into round 1 before DT1 goes. So DT2, who is a clear DT2? You know, like that's what's amazing about this draft. And in the past, we've seen so many really good defensive tackles. Like just name them. We can get one in the round 2. We can get one in round 3. It's like, man, if you want one, you kind of got to come up and get it. And that's the thing teams are going to be balancing. And I really can't tell you that I know how to feel. I would. Barmore's the only guy I would take in round 1, and I wouldn't take him till, kind of that 20 to 32 range. So
yeah,
that says a lot.
But NFL teams don't care what I think. These NFL teams, like, they'll do some crazy stuff. They'll do some awesome things, and I'll be wrong. And they'll do some stupid stuff. Like, Cody Kessler got drafted by the Browns in the 3rd round one year. Like, how does that happen? Why?
What are you doing?
The Browns have a full documentary on just picks. Like, what were you doing?
It's amazing.
Dallas Cowboys take a grown man named Taco instead of a guy named TJ Watt.
And the world stood there and said, "Don't do it. Just, hey, no offense to Taco, but the other guy is still." Oh, it's like when you go to let's say you went to a grocery store and everything was the same price, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to buy what appears to be a very old Honda. It's like, well, we have a Corvette for you. It's the same price. Just take the Corvette. TJ Watt's the Corvette in this scenario, of course. And I said, I didn't know. It didn't make sense. I got in trouble that night on the draft because we were doing it, and we were on the Cowboys radio network, and they're doing the thing that I disagree with, and we're probably doing that this year, where it's like, we got to wait on the commissioner to make the pick. And I'm like, well, Twitter 2 minutes ago, so let's, can we move it along? So all night long, we're like told to like, hey, wait, the commissioner's going. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I see it on Twitter. Finally know it's real. I've verified it, multiple sources, all that thing. And I'm like, no, F it. They're taking Taco. And I shouldn't have done that because, we should have all given Taco a chance. And I'm a part of that problem. So,
So am I. So am I.
He could have done better here, too.
He could have.
I get that though, where you're just so anxious. You're like, I gotta say it. Gotta put it out there in the atmosphere.
But they took the wrong guy. Why are we talking around it? They took a bad guy. They took the bad player. Let's talk about it. Like,
when a great player is sitting there.
We need to wait on Roger. Roger's gonna sit in his leather room and thank everyone.
Eating his M&Ms.
Eating his M&Ms.
Falling asleep in the 7th round. What a show. All right. Well, I know you said last time we talked about this pre-show as well that you were a Packers fan growing up. So I wanted to mix them in there and sprinkle them in as well. So here's one for you. Where would you put Jordan Love and rank him in this quarterback class?
He would be ahead of Mac Jones. I think, it would be Lawrence for me. I have Trey Lance too, and I know that's a leap of faith. Like, I wouldn't take Trey Lance if I was a ready-to-go team, but a developing team. Trey Lance, I'll take that chance all day. And to me, Trey Lance is a little different than Jordan Love. The way their tape is just, and again, it's limited and it's Division II, and I know that I get it. But mix it up. Trey Lance, quarterback 2, screw it. Wilson 3, Fields 4, then Jordan Love would be what I would say. I wasn't the biggest Jordan Love fan. There's some things he does that wows you, and he had a bad team, and his coach left and went to Texas Tech, and there's so many things happened, but just wanted to see a better year the year he was drafted. But I don't fault what the Packers doing what they did. That never hurts to get ahead of it at the quarterback position. Don't be behind it. Always be ahead of it. Always.
So that kind of spurs a question for me. Obviously, the Cowboys have locked up Dak Prescott. They don't really have a signature backup on the team. So is this a year where they go after a quarterback later in the draft? And who would you go after there? An Ian Book type or Ellinger from Texas?
I would not. Well, Ian Book I might be okay with late, super late. This year's a bad quarterback year, quite honestly. I mean, even Kyle Trask, I don't really like Kyle Trask very much. And, the kid from Stanford's okay. To me, option one for me is, hey, Alex Smith, what are you doing? I think Alex Smith would be a perfect backup. I think that would be outstanding. But, he's going to try to go get some snaps somewhere. And he's not going to get snaps this year unless there's a leg snap again. So, I'm a big fan of that, the Alex Smith possibility. When the Cowboys, they'll just roll with Cooper Rush or they'll, Garrett Gilbert's here, I mean,
Ben DiNucci.
The new, yeah, what? Another part of this, it's very rare that a starting quarterback goes down for a long period of time and the backup keeps it all together enough to go make the playoffs and make a run. I've seen this happen at the top of my head. I know it's happened before, but I saw it happen with Matt Flynn at one time with Aaron Rodgers, and they had so much go their way to make the playoffs that year and get Aaron Rodgers back. And it was just like they had a tie in a game that got them in the playoffs, week 14 tied up. So I'm almost to the boat of man, if my guy goes down, I'm not a team tank guy, but I'm also not really trying to win a ton of games when I could be picking, 6th or something. Well, no, not 6th, now 12th now, but it was 6th. It was 6th. I would feel better, Aidan. I could tell you, they're going to take someone. I don't know they're going to take it 12 now. They don't either.
The funniest, the last people that know are them.
The funniest part too about the whole thing was Aidan put out a tweet with Jamar Chase's highlights and just with just the emoji eyes, and literally 4.5 minutes later they announced the trade.
It was ridiculous. The timing it was impeccable. I couldn't have timed it any worse. It was fantastic.
That happens. I've seen it's a little different because you were getting excited about something, but our buddy Dane Brugler from The Athletic, I remember it was whatever the Carson, it's 2016. He does this big 7-round mock draft. At the time, I'm not sure what publication he was working for at the time, but it's this big 7-round involved thing, and it's every team and it's every pick, unleashes it, and then an hour later, the Eagles are trading up to number 2. That was the Carson Wentz year. And I was like, you just see how deflated he is. I just did this whole thing. I spent 2 weeks on it, and then the Eagles made a trade and ruined it all. Thank you.
Put all that work in.
Leave it to Philly.
Well, yep.
Yeah.
Agent of chaos.
Then they took Super Bowl winning quarterback Carson Wentz.
Technically, yes. All right. I've got one more before we get you out of here because I know you're right back on to the next show talking draft again. So I'll just keep it fun. Give me one prospect that you don't want to see in the division if the Cowboys don't get them. And then maybe, like I said, I can be talked into pretty much anybody. So sell me on one prospect I should keep an eye on, and I will buy it in less than 20 seconds.
No. I got you here. The Waddle is easy, but since we've talked about Waddle, and there's more buzz about Waddle, it seems. I want to answer your last question first. I would say Devontae Smith. Because if you have a young quarterback that you're trying to develop, and I truly don't know what the hell their plan is. I don't know if they're serious about Hurts or not, but Devontae Smith is a really good guy for a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback. The way he gets open, he's solid. He'll catch the passes over the middle. We know that Jalen Waddle can line up, run a slant route across the middle. There are things about Jalen Waddle that's not all complete, and he makes up for it by the other stuff that he does that no one else can do. Devontae Smith's the perfect guy too. Okay, we're in zone coverage, and he knows what the hole in the zone is. And when it's 3rd and 3 and your young quarterback needs to know what to do, and he's really only going to probably get 1 or 2 guys, to go sit down and know how to sit down and then kind of avoid the hit by the linebacker. Everyone talks about his weight, but that's just not – I don't – 170, okay. It's the difference in 170 and 180. What are we talking about, really? We start talking about his weight. He knows how to play with it. Yes, he knows how to play with it. He knows how to win multiple ways. So Devontae Smith, and it feels like people might be kind of – I don't know. I have him graded above Waddle just because I think he's more complete, and I realize that I'm giving up, and it also kind of depends what personnel I have on my team right now. But you're also giving up that unpredictable just upside that Waddle has because he's really probably going to be incredible. But Devontae Smith, you should be really excited about in terms of having that's your guy, and you can know that he will be a wide receiver one, knows how to score, knows how to win deep, knows how to win shallow, catches the ball, goes over the middle tough. Just all that stuff is important. And, I think that would be great at 12 for you guys. I think that'd be awesome. I would not want to see Kyle Pitts. I mean, I don't know how you stop him. There's no way. You have to beat him up and take the chances that the refs aren't calling flags this time. And, I don't like doing that. Huh? But, Waddle was probably the other guy, though, because there's true Tyreek Hill type mechanisms that he can pull off. And I saw someone compared to Devin Hester, and maybe that's a little more accurate. And I'm sitting there going, man, I remember Devin Hester just taking a screen pass on 2nd 20 after a holding call and getting the first down. And you're like, God dang it. We had him. We had the holding call. So, those are probably the two guys like you're sitting there going. But, when I answer questions like that, I typically think of offensive players. The defensive guy I wouldn't want to face, I'm not sure that player exists in this draft. No offense
Mike
to Mike.
is fine. Jock, yeah.
JOK, he's gonna be around, but this game is designed for the offense to beat up on the defense too. So that's part of the deal.
Yep.
Caleb Farley was my number one cornerback. I liked him more than Surtain. And you just can't trust it. There's just too much back stuff. And
what about at 44 if he's sitting there?
Oh yeah, sweet spot.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot.
Uh-huh.
Sweet spot. I have the team I follow could use a cornerback at maybe 29's maybe the spot. I don't know what his range is, and generally those injury guys are second round types. You push him back. The Eagles know all about this when they took our good friend Sidney Jones, the Washington quarterback, a few years ago.
Sidney Jones, torn Achilles.
Yeah, like 44, probably about the area they took him. And I remember going, probably could have waited till the third round. Same way when the Cowboys did Jalen Smith, I went,
Smith?
God, no.
Michael Irvin was all excited. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone was
great.
Everyone was pretty pumped up, especially Jalen. But then the war room, and I don't think the fans can see this. On the war room cameras, that's going down. We knew that going into that day, they wanted Kevin Dodd from Clemson and Agba was the defensive end from Oklahoma State, which that was top two guys on the board. And then at pick 33, or at pick 32 and at pick 33, that was the year the Patriots lost their pick at 32. At pick 32 and 33 was Dodd and Agba in whatever order. And you should have seen the freak out going on in that war room as they were trying to get on the phone and trade. And no one wanted to jump up to 34 because why would you want to jump up to 34? Right? What do you?
No thanks.
You're going to give up picks to get up to 34. You better have something special. Special like what? We've got Miles Jack who's hurt. We've got Jalen Smith who's hurt. Noah Spence, who some people like, but had the off-field questions that worried everyone. He's turned out to not be very good. I liked him, but it was like. Wait, they're panicking right now. You can see the open there's people stepping over each other, pushing buttons on the phone lines. Like, I'll put the phone down, Daddy. No, put the phone. Daddy, put the phone down.
This is what makes the draft so much fun. The chaos. It's just chaos.
It's absolutely chaos. But when you take a guy who doesn't have a leg, that's never going to work out good for you.
Usually no.
That's more chaos. All right, KT, before we get you out of here, because we know you have to go do your show, just let everybody know where they can listen to you, all about the podcast, how they can follow you on Twitter.
This is going to be a lot. So it's at KT Fun Tweets is all the social media stuff. I'm on the Ben and Skip Show, 2 to 5, on 97.1 The Eagle in the Metroplex. You can also hear that on the iHeartRadio app, which is also the host of my podcast, the Kevin Turner Show podcast, which I believe our episode 1 drops tomorrow. So the Kevin Turner Show podcast is on the iHeart app. The Draft Show on DallasCowboys.com, and we'll have all the coverage on night one of the draft. We'll be going live. And also the Athletic podcast is about them Cowboys. And I just kind of do some random, just work in the community, just always kind of hanging out and waving at people, nothing really helpful or anything, but, you can find me out and about.
Out rolling around on the back of the fire truck, just waving to people like Santa Claus.
Just waving, not really helping anything or working, but just kind of waving at people,
Just, oh, I love it. And you have a wonderful whiskey and bourbon collection as well. So
oh my God.
Thank you for being with us, KT. We really appreciate it. And we're going to have you on after the draft to analyze. So thank you.
Happy to do it, man. Just holler at me anytime. You guys are good dudes. I like you guys.
Appreciate that. Thank you, brother.
All right.
So he just did his whole first round mock draft for the first time.
I know. That was pretty cool. Like he debuted the whole top 20 of his mock draft.
Yeah. It's awesome.
When he said Mac Jones to the Bears, I laughed out loud.
If we had more time, I'd like to discuss the fact that Mac Jones is just Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. Like in 8 years, that's Mac Jones.
With a little bit of Kirk Cousins in him.
I think his ceiling is Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Which is really saying something.
That's why
His
Shanahan
ceiling is
likes
primetime Kirk Cousins.
Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins.
I know. That's probably why he loves Mac Jones.
Oh,
exactly.
Wow. That is our intro. We have broken the seal. We have cracked the Mac Jones situation. No one else has figured out why he wants to go at 3. We just put the pieces together.
Because he wanted Kirk Cousins, not Jimmy G, too. But they didn't think they could go get him, so they went and got Jimmy G. So this is his Kirk Cousins now.
This is his Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins 2.0. One of them wasn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mac Cousins.
Mac Cousins.
Is this the podcast? Are we doing the
really
podcast
good content?
right
Yeah.
For Jones.
Should I even welcome back, or should I just do a cold open? Hey, welcome back. We're talking.
I think that was good. I think that was a good cold open. Just roll.
Yeah, we're here. Thank you to KT Fun Tweets and Stateside Vodka for sponsoring that interview. He's always a barrel of laughs, a lot of fun, and he knows his stuff.
I love the draft show, like we mentioned. I know we keep plugging it, but they really know. Yeah, thank you. But you could tell, like he rattled off people in the second round. I loved him debuting his mock draft, which I thought was fantastic.
Amazing.
And then, like Javonte Williams out of North Carolina. They have 2 really good running backs, and just popping that in mixed with some humor. So I love having those guys on, and you're right. Let's get them back on after the draft to do analysis of the picks after they occur.
100%. All right, it's time. It's Vince's time to shine.
It's Vince's time to shine, but I want to tell you guys about my dream job.
Yes,
this
please.
is quick before we get into the TikToks, and it's a good TikTok tonight. I think this will be, for lack of a better word on TikTok, argumentative. So I saw this week, tweet from Mike Golic Jr. For the millionth time, every company needs to hire a common sense monitor. Take some borderline Gen Z millennial who gets paid to just sit on their phone and not pay attention, then show them the ID at the end so they can tell you if people are going to drag you for this or not. And then that tweet was at 3:00. And then at 7:30 the same day, the Las Vegas Raiders put out a tweet that said, "I can breathe for 2021." I think that would be a perfect role for me. Just being the guy when your nerdy 38-year-old white marketing manager comes up with a really shitty idea for a tweet, just run it by me and I'll tell you if you're going to get cyberbullied or not. I think I've found my calling, and it's not this podcast. See you guys. I think I could really do this job.
I think you
Counterpoint,
could too.
that kind of is this podcast. We have a 38-year-old white guy who has access to the Twitter account. So you can.
And that happened today because all of a sudden I got a message from Aidan. Did you tweet this from the branded account? And I got really nervous. Like, it was this old man awful tweet or what?
I literally vetted him today on a tweet without even 100%. Thinking about it. I told you, I'm just trying out for the job. I think I've really found my calling. I think I'm going to be part-time. I think part-time podcast co-host and then full-time just common sense monitor for PR teams.
I think you would do wonders. Really do.
I'd also let some things like slip out. That would be hilarious.
Of course.
But, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like a little dark humor never hurt anybody.
All right. Before we get TikToks here, do we have a Vince's Nugget?
No. Oops.
All righty. That
I
was
had the
Vince's Nugget.
today. I had the Vince's Nugget today with my dream job. You're
So
welcome.
here, I can
We're covering for you.
So week one of
We're
Vince's
talking about-
Nuggets, Vince wasn't here. Then we had a Vince's Nugget. And now third week of Vince's Nugget, we don't have a Nugget.
I mean,
You're-
if you want to talk about kickers and punters, the Raiders really punted on that tweet. And that was a bad joke brought to you by Vince.
I think they went for it on 4th and 27 instead of they probably should have punted.
All right. It's time. Last week, our talks went off the rankings. We could rank air versus carbon monoxide versus nitrogen versus hydrogen, and we are gonna have the comments explode. So, what are we doing tonight?
Tonight we are doing top 5 running backs in the NFL right now.
Juicy.
If there were arguments about tight end, I know that there's going to be a lot of arguments about running backs.
no effect over Hawkinson?
People were so mad.
That was
bad.
unreal. That was unreal. And then Mike Gesicki, who I love because he
Yeah.
went to Penn State, but come on. Like they're a week away from possibly replacing him with Kyle Pitts. Like who was on my list?
I don't know if I've ever dropped this fun fact on the podcast before, but Mike Gesicki played volleyball in high school in my area, and he spiked the ball off my friend's face.
I believe it.
Like Meet the Fockers.
Mhm.
Wasn't he a better volleyball player than football player?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that was like the big fun fact. Like when he caught a pass at Penn State, the generic announcers would be like, "Hey, no, he was actually like a better volleyball player."
He's like
Next
the
week.
Antonio Gates of volleyball.
Yes.
Yeah, next week for TikToks, let's rank former NFL players that were basketball players and how they
Oh,
were ranked
that's a
as
good one.
basketball players.
Yes. Give me your top 5 football players who are actually really good at basketball too.
Drunk off PNR Birds versus Boys crossover.
Yes.
Oh, what is this? A
together.
crossover episode?
Look at this. It's like the Chicago shows on NBC.
Oh yeah. Law and Order, Crime Unit,
Mhm.
Stabler returns with
We're
5
here.
people who actually played basketball in high school.
It's so I watch Chicago PD and I get so fired up every time there's a crossover episode for like absolutely no reason.
It's
This
like
gets me
having
so
a pizza
excited.
party. It's having a pizza party in school. It's not good food. There's really nothing to be excited about. It's really no different from the lunch that you would get. They literally would sell pizza in our cafeteria, but we get psyched for a pizza party. It's no different. It's just, wow, this is different. This is different. It should be
Yes.
exciting.
I get the same level of excitement that when he was like Avengers Assemble and all 7,000 Avengers all showed up at the same time. I'm like, it's all the people together.
They're all here.
Oh God.
All right, let's do it.
They're all here. Let's do it.
They might be all here. Wait till we hear in the TikTok comments about who we forgot.
Mhm.
All right, I'm starting it off. We'll go in our normal triangle. I'll tell you right away. Mine's going to get hot and people are going to be bothered. So at 5, I'm calling my shot for this year. Number 5, I have Chase Edmonds. I think he's going to be RB1 for the Arizona Cardinals. It's going to be a really good offense. I think he's going to get a ton of volume, and it's going to have a pretty good stat season.
That's just because you hated Kenyon Drake.
Also, Chase is from my hometown, and I'm just going all out on Harrisburg people this year. Also, Noah Spence was from my hometown, and he mentioned, he was like, he didn't pan out. I was like, well, he tried.
He tried really hard. All right, number 5 for me, Alvin Kamara. I know, I might get, how do you have him so low? I loved him when he had the 1-2 punch down there. I don't know. As an every down back, I don't think he's top 3, but it'll be in my top 5. Alvin Kamara 5.
For once, me and Kevin agree on something. I have Alvin Kamara at 5 also.
Look at this, same brain.
I'm very concerned about where this is going. That was a very normal 5.
You
All
feel
right.
left out?
Well, no, at 4, I have Alvin Kamara. So
We're close.
we were pretty close on him. So definitely in the top 5, didn't crack anybody's top 3.
4 for me, Nick Chubb. Big, bad running back in Cleveland.
It's my turn. At number 4, I have Saquon Barkley. I think the injury pushed him down this list a little bit.
Okay.
I'm staying on my toes for your list over there.
I know. I'm confused.
At 3, I have Nick Chubb. So I think another breakout year is coming. He's a workhorse there in Cleveland, and they love running the ball. So he'll get a ton of touches, even with Kareem Hunt in the backfield.
Look at us. We're like back to back here. Number 3 for me, one of your favorite teams in the NFL, Dalvin Cook for the Minnesota Vikings. Dude is so underrated. He is an absolute beast when he's healthy.
Number 3 for me, sort of similarly calling my shot like Aidan did. I have Miles Sanders. I think he doesn't have a quarterback, and he's going to be running the ball a lot of short throws. It's going to be a big year. Also, fun fact, he was Saquon Barkley's backup. I don't know if people know that.
You may have heard.
Some think better than Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
Me too.
Which, yeah, I was about to say, I guess in those rankings, technically, you're going to have a lot of Penn State people in the TikTok comments that are not going to be thrilled. All right. At 2, I have Christian McCaffrey. I think he is the best dual threat running back in the NFL, but I don't think he's the best overall running back in the NFL.
So my 2 and 1 here are very close, and I'm just going to mix it up just so you and I aren't exact same brain. I'm going to put Derrick Henry 2. He is just a complete animal. He's a beast. But maybe you don't have Derrick Henry at 1 because you are out of your mind. I forgot what you said. You're going to have to edit this out. That's right. How do you not have Derrick Henry in this time?
I'm not editing this out because the look on Aiden's face when he realized he forgot about Derrick Henry.
That's exactly what happened.
So Derrick Henry at 2 for me.
You don't have to worry about him getting mixed up. He's not there.
At 2 for me, I have Christian McCaffrey. Injury again, maybe he'd be 1, but I don't think he's the best at running the football in the league.
All right. At 1, I have Saquon Barkley. I think he's going on the revenge tour this year. I think without the injuries, he would be far and away the best running back in football. And if they ever got him an offensive line, he would be fantastic. And most explosive player.
He is. But number 1 for me, the dual threat. He has Matt Rule for another year here. He's coming off injury. It's Christian McCaffrey. He can do it all. He's a Swiss Army knife. He's an absolute stud. He can run it up the middle, Vince. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's an absolute stud. Christian McCaffrey, 1.
Number 1, I have someone that's better than him at running the football for sure. And this is the best thing they do is running the football. I have Lamar Jackson.
And there it is.
Oh, man. I was waiting on a perfect setup.
No one loses like the New York Jets.
I'll be honest. So I was like, when you said Dalvin Cook, I was like, damn, that's really good. Also, he was on my fantasy team. So like I knew how good he was because he carried my team. I was like, can't believe I forgot that one. You're like Derrick Henry. I was like, oh man, that's even worse. I was like, maybe I slightly regret the Chase Edmonds thing, but in a much more real sense, I will look like a genius if he's good this year.
You are going to get absolutely slaughtered.
I'm going to get cyberbullied by so many 14-year-olds tomorrow.
I definitely did the same exact thing you did. But I feel like people weren't expecting me to have them anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah, so you're off the hook. What's funny is that I wrote down a bunch of names before I ranked them. It's like I have Nick Chubb, Chris Carson, Miles Sanders, Aaron Jones. Like a few of these guys didn't make the list, and I just didn't even like write down Derrick Henry.
What's extra funny is that all of the people on TikTok are going to hear is the names and then maybe one thing.
Yep.
They'll have no idea.
They're never going to hear this.
They're just going to see the shock and awe on my face when Kevin says Derrick Henry.
You were like, ah.
It's like, oh, rats. I knew I forgot something.
Oh, God. All right. Do we have anything else here or anything you're forgetting?
Not at all.
What do we have coming up next Thursday, Aidan?
We have the draft show. Again, we're going to be pushing it. Live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Speaking of yourself ready for the draft show, draft preview show last week. It is sponsored by Kenwood Beer. local brewery right here in Philadelphia, and they are fantastic. We had it for March Madness, and we will also be back. We've got one more show here with the podcast before the draft too, so still a lot of content to be had before we have that. Before we hear the names called.
Yeah, I can't wait for the draft show. It's going to be a lot of fun. Producer Vince will be producing the entire program as well. CEO Joe, James, and then we're going to have Eddie and Allie on virtually up from New England. A couple other guys, Walsh, AJ, are going to hop in virtually as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. If you watched or listened at all last year during round one, it was a blast, and this time it's going to be a blast, but more organized. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you subscribe everywhere podcasts are, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe, rate, listen, and absolutely go over to our YouTube page. Subscribe. You can watch full episodes. Vince puts clips up there. Vince cut up each one of our 8 breakdowns of the draft prospects. Make sure you go check those out as well. And our new fire intro, including, is it Chris Hansen or Scott Hansen? I never know. Chris Hansen. But check that out as well. So thank you for listening to episode 55 of Birds vs. Boys. We will be back next week. And thank you again to Kevin KT Turner for joining us. And we'll be back next week. Draft week.
Sorry, Derrick Henry.
Chris Hansen here, and I'm going to need you all to take a seat right over there and check out Birds vs. Boys.
I think you're completely right here, and I hate it.
Yep. Hey, idiots. Stop doing dumb things.
I got 2 phones.
Upset alert. Upset alert. I might go insane.
I think you're already there. There's no hope. Hope is gone.
If this was an AFC North podcast, we'd be done in 15 minutes.
Bob Hope.
I'm going to drink bleach.
That
Be
is?
the team you promised me you were going to be this year!
This is the Consciously Hopeful podcast.
I'll be watching.